Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Be Free podcast. And I hope that you are well. It is a very snowy day here in Scotland and has been for the past 2 days. Um, so yeah, it's beautiful to look at and not so beautiful to hike through to go and see my horses. Anywho, I was sharing in my stories on Instagram in and around me doing a motivational talk, and I did this last Friday night, and I just felt like I wanted to come share some of the concepts from this talk with you here and just kind of shed light on some things. And I hope that you leave after listening to this session feeling empowered, inspired, and just hopeful. Hopeful for new beginnings, I guess. So I have my cacao here with me. Just took a little sip earlier, asked for me just to receive the guidance that um, I'm here to share with you. And yeah, I really do hope that it supports you. So I've been asked to do a guest speaking gig and a women's wellbeing event. And at the first, I was like, yeah, amazing, cool, no problem at all. Done this a million times, really up for it. Used to love doing these kind of things. Then, then it got closer and closer, and I was like, why did I say yes? Oh my gosh, like I'm so nervous and with regards to my balance stuff and sometimes it's not great if there's lots of people or I never know how I'm going to feel from one day to the next. And I was basically trying to talk myself out of it. And my inner child inside was like throwing some kind of mad tantrum, like just like, why did you say yes? Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, um, I wasn't going to let the people down, and I'd made that commitment, and it was raising funds for a charity which is very close to my heart, which is a charity called Miss, and I'll pop a link in the show notes for that. And Miss are a miscarriage and baby loss charity, and they do so much work to support women and men as they navigate um, periods of baby loss, infertility, um, and yeah, they offer so much support around those themes. Um, Having experienced miscarriage myself around a decade ago, there was nothing like that. Actually, more than a decade ago. Just nothing like that was available. So when I got this opportunity to come and speak at this event, I just felt like yes, it felt like the right thing to do. Um, Now, I'm going to use some of my notes from that night, from my talk, and just kind of freestyle a bit as well on that. But um, yeah, there's so many times in my life that, and this was kind of the theme of the talk of like challenges and shame and guilt and a whole host of different challenging emotions. And there's been so many moments in my life where I have experienced challenge and loss, and it's really in the past few years really shaken my confidence as an individual, hence me getting nervous and anxious about standing up speaking in front of people. And I really just feel like I'm kind of piecing myself back together. I'm not quite 100%, fully firing on all cylinders when it comes to my brain at times. Um, but I'm getting there. So I wrote down all my notes for going to speak at this event. And then when it came to stand up there, I was absolutely like so nervous, so nervous, and just, yeah, wasn't sure if I was speaking about the right thing, like second guessing myself, doubting myself. Um, but I've done a lot of work recently and I've been reading a lot about storytelling and the power of storytelling and why it's so important that we do share our stories. And I'm just going to share a little bit here about something Brené Brown said. So, um, if you haven't heard of Brené Brown, go check her out. Brené Brown is like a researcher. She does a lot of work into researching emotions, studying courage, vulnerability, shame, empathy. And what she said was, if you put shame in a petri dish, it needs three things to grow exponentially: secrecy, silence, and judgment. And if you put the same amount of shame in a petri dish and douse it with empathy, it can't survive. And how many of us have experienced challenges in our life that we have felt shame over? And I know, like, when I miscarried, I felt so much shame. I felt so much guilt, like it was my fault. Um, and yeah, like I did kind of keep that silent at the time. From quite a lot of people. However, now I will speak about that experience openly, and I know that it has helped so many other people. And by having those conversations and having those discussions and listening to other people's conversations in and around baby loss, that's where that empathy comes in, because you realize that you're not alone, and um, that actually other people may have experienced what you're experiencing. And it's so powerful. So the next thing Brené Brown says is, shame hates it when we reach out and tell our story. It hates having words wrapped around it. It can't survive being shared. So when we think about shame, like, you don't want to say those shameful things out loud, right? You're embarrassed, like, thinking about how shame feels in your body. And if you don't have anything you've ever felt shame for, then incredible. Um, But, my role here with this podcast is I want to shower empathy on you. I want you, um, my real goal for 2025, and I feel so passionate about it, is to show people that they can thrive, that you can thrive despite whatever life is thrown at you, because life is just going to keep on lifing, right? This is what I've discovered. Um, so we don't need to just survive the things that we've been through, we can thrive. Um, and it's through these challenges, and this is what I want to empower you to do tonight, is to begin to reframe the challenges you're facing or have faced and discover what you're capable of. They support us in discovering what you're willing to tolerate and where you really need to align more deeply with what's right for you. And I'm going to share some of these challenges with you just now and how I've reframed them, just so you can begin to recognize. You might see elements of yourself. It may be something you've experienced, it may be something a family member's experienced, or it might just trigger something in you just to think about something that you're going through or have gone through um, in a different light. So when I was doing this talk, I was sharing some of the tests I faced, and I was sharing that this year I had my own health scare and a series of tests to rule out endometrial cancer. And I've been navigating perimenopause during this time, which has brought a whole host of like physical challenges, raised some anxiety. There's days where, in the past few years that I couldn't leave my house, I couldn't leave my bed. However, this experience and the tests for cancer um, have really taught me so much about trusting my body and self-advocating for my health, and why my spiritual practices are so needed. Like, I have like pulled on the spiritual practices for sure. And the self-advocating part, again, this is something I am so damn passionate about now. Like, I, I'm so passionate about doing your own research, standing up for yourself, doing what's right for you, tuning into what's right for you, working with your intuition so like, yeah, what feels right and what's right for you. So that's some of the things that have come from that experience. Um, I've put here, just over 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with a condition called triple PD, which left me giving up work at one point, unable to walk properly, unable to drive. I was sharing here how at this time I was a successful coach supporting people with anxiety and depression, and how, I've even written this best-selling book about overcoming anxiety naturally. And I was an anxiety expert. I was speaking internationally on, various podcasts, membership spaces, other people's things, supporting clients overseas as well. And then suddenly when perimenopause hit and this triple PD hit and all these like other life things, I had such bad anxiety, like it was literally crippling me, like on a cyclical basis as well. Um, and I did feel shame about that. I felt embarrassed. I felt lost. I felt like an absolute fraud that I was, even though it was like, I know the things in my book work and I know my coaching practices worked, but I just lost all confidence in myself and I just want to hide away. I didn't want to tell people um how how bad it was, right? Because of the shame. So here I am sharing this story because I know so many people experience imposter syndrome and feel like they're not good enough or feel like something's their fault or embarrassed by what they deem to be a weakness. However, this whole process has really taught me to slow down. It's really taught me about friendships and which ones were kind of quite one-sided, I guess, and a lot about my boundaries because I didn't have the physical, mental capacity um, to see people. I couldn't go and drive places. And I became aware that I was the one that was generally doing all that, going around, with certain friendships. So that was it was a very kind of challenging process to go through, but ultimately it's really made me more aware of what I value in a friendship and friendships that are reciprocal. And um also to love nature more deeply. I mean, oh my goodness, like you know that, right? Like if you've listened to this podcast at all or follow me on social media or any of my blogs, nature, and this is where my forest therapy studies came from, is still my safe place and was my safe place. And it is the place where the healing really happened and where I discovered patience and where I discovered more about cyclical living and where I felt connected and where I managed to tune back into my heart. So that process, not great. Um, this is what I'm saying about these challenges, but and it's not easy when you're in it, right? It's totally not easy when you're in it, but at the other side, sometimes we can see where and why, not always why, but what it has taught us. Um, I'd mentioned here how we'd been through the adoption process. I've shared that on other podcasts as well. And during that process, the doctor found a lump in my breast, and I got referred for a mammogram and stuff then, and we made the decision to really just slow down and just focus on joy and focus on our relationship, my husband and I, and at this new stage in our life. And again, that was such a challenging period, not just the adoption process, but making that decision. And it really, really, really did teach me so much gratitude, gratitude for all that I have, um, gratitude for, yeah, exactly everything I already had. It just really was such a kind of poignant and huge decision for us to make, but also taught me about control and surrender and trying to force an outcome. And I wanted another child so badly. And to go down that process and then make that decision. But it really, really taught me the value of life and the crux of all of this. Like it's taken me a long time to get to this one mega learning that I will share at the end. Um, but yeah, just a real gratitude and value for what I already had. So hindsight can support us so much. And as you're listening, can you think of something just now? I mean, there's probably many things, and I would love just that, feel free to message me and privately if you want to release that shame, right? If you want to put that out there, it's so powerful to release the shame and guilt that we've been hanging on for. And if you want to share a challenge that you've been through and the lesson and the strength and the outcome that you've had at the other side, then I would love to hear that and support you with that. I went on to share about my husband's battle with mental health and alcohol, um, and how thankfully he's now on the other side of that. But that was a really um, dark, challenging period. But again, that the lessons from that were so powerful. Again, surrender, again, patience. You cannot control another person's actions. And also about community and support. I found, so much support and value through Al-Anon, which is a support group for family members, friends of alcoholics. And it was through that that I was introduced to the Serenity Prayer. And I think the Serenity Prayer is so valuable for all of us to have an awareness of. And if you haven't heard it before, I'm going to share it just now. But when we're thinking about how much as human beings we like to control and we want things to be a certain way and we want people to behave a certain way, and that isn't always available, like we can't control other people, this prayer can help. So the prayer is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So let me read that again. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And this is the thing, right? We have this choice to recognize there are things out with our control. And the more we can surrender and recognize, okay, we're pushing, we're pushing the wrong way here. What is within our control? What is within our control? And let's do something about it, right? Let's take action on the things that are within our control. Um, the next thing I went to share was about losing my mum to cancer. And um, interestingly, it's actually my mum's birthday today as I'm recording this. And I was just saying in this talk that it was one of the most challenging periods of my life. And still to this day, I find it just really surreal that she's not here. But it's nice to be speaking about her just now. I can see her picture on my altar in the corner of my office. Um, but there was so many lessons from that, and so many lessons from my mum actually, just generally. She was an incredible, inspiring woman, and her cancer journey was exactly like her. She was so inspiring and um just incredible through that whole process. But during that time I had a really great business opportunity arise. And it was something that I'd kind of hoped and dreamed for. However, I decided not to follow that path because I wanted to spend as much time with my mum as possible, which I did, and I'm so thankful for. And that then, because I never followed that decision, it allowed us to move house and then open the sanctuary, which was obviously an incredible part of my life and part of our community to create this well-being space and have classes and sessions and support other people. And so I do think that sometimes things do work out for a reason. And I was taught so much just from the value of the things that I value in life. And one of those I value is family, and just honoring those values was so, so powerful. Um, okay, so you can see where I've gone with all these challenges. There are more, but I'm not even gonna I'm not even gonna go down the more. I think you've probably heard enough to understand. But from me sharing some of those things, I want you to know that like these life experiences aren't uncommon. I am not the only person that has experienced these things. I'm not the only person that's experienced anxiety. I'm not the only person that's experienced miscarriage. In fact, 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage, which is an absolutely insane statistic. So other people will experience alcoholism within their families. Other people will experience depression. I can't remember the statistics about cancer now, but it's the rates of cancer are so high. So I'm not the only person that's going to experience those things either. But what I would say is I actually, truly, hand on heart, love my life. I am so grateful for the life I have now. I am so grateful for where I'm at. Um, and this is why I feel so passionate about next year supporting as many people as I can to really flourish and thrive and connect to a life more passionately. I feel we've all been so suppressed. And now it's time. It's time to rise. I was sharing this last night in my metamorphosis group coaching program. The ladies there are just so fired up that this is our time. Like we have all navigated some seriously challenging things, and now is the time to turn those challenges, to alchemize them into gold. So I would love for you just to reflect upon the challenges that you faced, thinking about what it is that you've overcome and what lesson that you can pull from that. And please, please, please um do let me know what arises from that. So it would be so easy just to drown in shame and self-doubt and question my identity, my worth, and I did. Um, but I'm here today because I've chosen to not give up, right? I will continuously keep going, right? Keep going. Every day is a fresh start. Every day is a new day. And sometimes like we just have to challenge this comfort zone, challenge that the energy. Like even this afternoon, I was like, oh gosh, I don't think I'll record the podcast this week. I don't da 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 da. And then I'm like, no, like come on, girl. Be consistent. Show up for yourself. Show up for the people that listen. And I have, and I feel great now, and I'm so delighted to be here. And this is what I'm saying. We just need to push ourselves sometimes um, out of that little discomfort zone to do the things that really matter to us. And this matters to me because I love connecting with you and I love supporting you and I love community and I love being able to offer things for free for people for support as well. So, we can choose again every single damn day. Every day you wake up, you can choose again. Every moment, every minute, every thought that you have, that you can do that. So it's time for us to really heal. It's time for us to really believe in our worth and to design our lives with intention. Yeah, to really become the architects of our lives and choose and co-create. Um, so I want to just share a little bit back onto the storytelling. I'm currently reading Sharon Blackie's book, If Women Rose Rooted, and I've shared, if you're on my email list, her card deck and some bits and pieces about that. But this is what Sharon Blackie says. Telling those stories helps us to understand ourselves, not just the place that we've come from, but where we might now be heading. Similarly, telling our stories to others can help them to work through the problems they're facing in their own lives. We all look to real life stories of others for guidance, just as we are often influenced by myths and novels. So she goes on about, feeling inspired, listening to stories about historical figures, and storytelling is important. Telling your story is important, and feeling empowered is important. So, a little stat for you I heard the other day around happiness. Okay. So, just so you know that we have this opportunity to create happiness in our lives, studies tell us that about 50% of our happiness comes from genetics. Okay. And you might be thinking, okay, that's not helpful. However, 10% comes from our circumstances and 40% from our actions and choices. So this means that no matter like what challenges you're facing, nearly half your happiness is within your control. So if you think about that serenity prayer, like what's within our control, what's not within our control, the genetics part is there. The circumstances and our life choices, we have the courage. We have the courage, we can stand up and change that. So if you have any kind of shame, sense of unworthiness, I want you to embrace your story. Own your story. Know that you are worthy. Don't freaking hide it. This is your life, and you are here, and you are capable, and you are, you can thrive. And your courage and storytelling might cause this ripple effect to support other people. So, if this 40% is within our control, what are we doing about it? What choices are we making? So there's this other quote which is about the three C's, cheese, three C's. Make a choice to take a chance, or life will never change. So choice, chance, change. Make a choice to take a chance, or life will never change. So some of the choices that I made were to do things like meditation, look at nutrition, Reiki, journaling, Pilates, nature, friendships, boundaries, seeking out professional support, seeking out community, podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTubes. I have my gratitude practice every day. A lot of the things that I now teach and support other people with were the things that supported me, and I'm so passionate about that. So find other people that are maybe navigating similar challenges, right? And you don't have to meet these people face to face. You don't even have to share your story with them. But I'm sure you could find a book in your local library, or something online that could, give you that hope and that inspiration that, okay, I'm not alone. Somebody else has navigated this and they have come out the other side and they are thriving, right? Find that person. Use that as your like roadmap, your lighthouse, like to guide you and show you that it is possible, right? So I want you to share your stories unapologetically, create that version of the story you're proud of. So we have this opportunity to reframe, to change the future, right? We can change the future and how we show up today. So yeah, small steps. And some of those steps, you may go backwards. You may feel like you're dancing, right? You 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, all that jazz. And I've had that with my triple PD where like, well, even this week actually with walking in the snow and stuff, I've had like a little bit of a flare up of symptoms, and um that's okay, right? Nothing is permanent. Everything is ever changing. Meditation and mindfulness has taught us that. Nature has always taught us that. Everything is always ever changing, ever evolving. Um, and when we surrender, so what can I control? What can I not control? I can control that I can go to my bed earlier, that I can eat well, that I can look after myself, that I can be compassionate with myself. And that is a huge one. Showing yourself compassion as you navigate these times, is hugely transformative. So, my main learning, why did it take me this long till I'm 45 to realize this? Um, you don't have to struggle. Just putting it out there, people. You don't have to struggle. I have gone round and round in my head and my mind. I feel like we're just having a chin mag now. Round and round in my mind over HRT. And going back into that. And I've spent a lot of time in meditation, a lot of time journaling, a lot of time connecting with my intuition, my ancestors, and asking for support and advice, like, which path am I supposed to take here? Because I tried the natural path and I ended up down a big dark hole. And then I was forced to go back on the natural path again when the doctors wanted to scan me and check for endometrial cancer. And after that, I was like, okay, maybe I just stay on this natural path. But things were starting to flare up, and I was having various symptoms that were just making my life pretty shit. And I'm here to kind of be a champion for women to realize that actually we are all here to, as I said, flourish, thrive, live freaking incredible lives. We don't need to struggle. It's not a badge of honor for us to struggle in pain, discomfort. It doesn't make us a better person because we've chosen one way over another. We're all individuals and we all have freedom to choose. And this is why I'm so passionate about self-advocating as well. So anyway, I've decided that I will not struggle, that I will start hormone replacement therapy again, and I had to seek someone privately to get support with that. And as I'm saying, I know my body, and I know what I feel is right for my body. Um, and yeah, I am here for it. So I am back, ready, ready to share, ready to support, ready to help you thrive in 2025. So thinking about this podcast, what choices are you going to make? What changes are you going to make? Tell me, tag me in your stories. Let me know. I'm going to pop a link underneath here as well, so you can sign up to my email list if you haven't already. I share there every week what's going on, a card reading, journal prompts, meditation, things that I'm loving on. Try to think of everything else that goes in there. So it's like a super awesome email to receive every week. But yeah, I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here, for following along with the podcast, for sharing the podcast. It really means the world to me. And yeah, like let's just release the shame, release the shame, release the guilt, and stand up and get ready to thrive and own our stories. So I'm sending you so much love. I will speak to y'all soon. And yeah, let me know how this podcast has landed. Bye, my loves.